dying stars. And somewhere inside that silence, a man sat by his window, awake, alone, and haunted. His name didn't matter anymore. Because guilt erases names. It turns you into a shadow of who you were. He had spent years trying to bury a memory, but memories don't die. They wait. They grow roots in silence and bloom in darkness. Every night the same road returned behind his eyelids. Wet asphalt, shattered glass, a single drop of rain that slid down the windshield like a tear. And the sound, that unbearable sound, of rain colliding with guilt. On the table before him lay an old letter. The paper had yellowed, its edges curled like time itself was trying to fold it away. He didn't need to read it. He already knew every word. If you hide the truth, time will find it. No name, no address, just that single sentence. A whisper that never stopped echoing in his mind. He had received that letter 10 years ago. 10 years of silence. 10 years of pretending. 10 years of running from the one person who could never be fooled, himself. He moved cities. Changed jobs. Changed his name. Built a new life. But guilt. Guilt is the only luggage you can't leave behind. It follows you everywhere, like a shadow that even the sun can't erase. Sometimes he convinced himself it was just an accident. Sometimes he believed that maybe fate had chosen that night. But deep down, he knew. It wasn't fate. It was fear. He could have stopped the car. He could have turned back. He could have helped. But he didn't. And when the siren screamed behind him, he pressed the accelerator harder, as if he could outrun what he'd done. Days later, the letter came. No one else understood what it meant, but he did, because someone had seen years past. He laughed at new jokes, took new photos, smiled in meetings. But when the world went quiet, when laughter faded, the letter spoke again. And tonight, it was screaming. He stood up, went to the mirror. The man staring back looked familiar but foreign. Same eyes, same skin, but colder, older, haunted. He whispered, "It was an accident." But even the mirror refused to believe him. He sat down again. The clock ticked louder than usual. Each second, a judgment. Tick, tock, tick, tock. It wasn't counting time anymore. It was counting truth. He poured water into a glass and his hands trembling. The candle beside him flickered violently, its flame fighting to survive, like his peace struggling in the storm of guilt. The rain began outside, soft at first, then harder, like the sky was trying to wash something away. And for a moment he wished it could. He picked up a pen. And for the first time in 10 years, he stopped running. He wrote everything. The road, the sound, the headlights, her name, and the silence that followed. He wrote what he saw. He wrote what he didn't do. He wrote what he remembered and what he wished he could forget. By the time he finished, dawn had arrived. The fog began to lift. The city stretched, yawned, unaware of the confession written in that small apartment. The first rays of sunlight slipped through the window, touching his face, not with redemption but with something gentler, something close to peace. He folded the letter and placed it beside the old one. 2 truths 10 years apart. He looked at them for a long time, then whispered, "This time I won't hide." He stood up, put on his coat, and stepped outside. The air was cold, crisp, and honest. The streets were empty, but for the first time the silence didn't hurt, because sometimes confession isn't about forgiveness. It's about breathing again. He walked past the same road, the same turn, where everything had once ended. Now it began again. He stopped for a moment, closed his eyes, and whispered her name. The wind carried it away, not as guilt, but as goodbye. They say time heals everything, but they're wrong. Time doesn't heal. Truth does, and tonight, the truth had finally spoken. Inside his apartment, the old letter still lay on the table, beside the candle that had burned all night. The flame trembled once more, then went out, softly, gently, like the end of a long, painful chapter, and in that final silence, there was